Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I'm going to give you my first impressions on the Avengers Forever update with massive upgrades to Black Widow, Iron Man, Blade, Robbie Reyes, as well as content improvements with the, revamp to GBR, the introduction of Dormammu GBR, as well as the new items that you can farm for Tier 4, and the changes to existing farmable items like the CTP reforging cubes and the card crafting cubes that have been moved and can now be found in the dimension rifts. So a lot of stuff to get to, but I want to say right off the bat that I'm still in Seoul. We're gonna be here for a while, so you got to get used to this here. But no, seriously, the first thing I want to say is I think this is a really good update. There's a lot going on here. There's just, I think this is going to be a good turning point for the game, especially for players who have been here for a while. And I think I'm really happy with pretty much everything that they've done in this update, at least thus far. We may find some, kinks in the road or whatever further on down the line, but it does seem quite good for now. But let's jump in with sort of a general overview of the buffs for these characters. Iron Man seems to get a pretty good buff from this, new uniform. It does bring him back to being a hero, so that is another pretty big jump for him. He gets access to all of those other hero buffs now. I don't have his uniform mythic just yet, but in the testing that I did for him, he was quite a bit faster than this uniform without all of the buffs that it has. Not my usual testing methodology, but I sort of lost track of things because I was just so enraptured with the game and with the update that I totally forgot to upgrade these uniforms. I just realized that now. But from what I understand too, the uniform options are good for all of the characters. Blade is my prime example here. We have solid options all the way through with a really good fourth option, with only really the fifth option being not so great with the Scarlet Witch. All new, all different, I believe, or no, uncanny. That's uncanny Avengers, yeah. But Iron Man gets a pretty good rework, really nice skill animations. Black Widow gets an amazing rework. Again, she like I completely forgot that I hadn't upgraded her uniform, but she completely eclipses this old uniform. Her new rotation is crazy good, crazy fast, really nice animations, and very smooth. I'm really happy with what they did for both Iron Man and Black Widow. Blade gets a pretty solid upgrade as well. I got him to tier 3 already. I don't think he's really, too exciting to talk about at tier 2, but at tier 3, I think he's going to compete as a solid combat hero. I was going to say blast type. Solid combat hero, and I'm pretty happy with what he got. He got a much better rework as far as his skills go, as far as his damage, his leadership, his healing, top to bottom, I think. It's actually quite nice. The only one I would say for my limited testing that I'm not sure is going to be at least pretty good is Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes. I'm not sure if I'm maybe using him incorrectly, or maybe the sort of the bar for him to be good is a little bit higher because he needs to sort of jump into a CTP of Rage or into a CTP of Judgment, because you really can't cancel any of his skills. Unfortunately, that's kind of a big deal nowadays. You can sort of cancel 3, but besides that, and 6 of course, but besides that, there's not a lot of skill canceling going on. And so because of that, again, the uniform should be mythic, but I was not super impressed with his initial performance, given that this is his first uniform and it should be really transcendent for him. He did sort of seem just like good, but not like wow kind of thing. Whereas I'm getting a much bigger wow factor from Black Widow, Iron Man, and even Blade to a lesser extent. So yeah, we'll see more. We're going to do obviously independent, in-depth review guides for all of these characters, but I wanted to give you a bit of my first impressions. But these 3 right here, I can definitely see being quite useful for PvE. And then, Black Widow obviously has the ability of doing PvP because of all of the PvP effects that she has: ignore targeting, healing, incapacitation, all of this guaranteed dodge, etc. So I think this is going to be possibly, a bit of a meta shifting group here. Now, onto the content, because on top of the content that I mentioned, i.e. the new GBR setup here, which I absolutely love the way that this looks, and then you can go ahead and check the rewards here. The difficulty spike is bonkers. Now, I wanted to actually show you guys what it looks like, but I'll have to do a dedicated video on it later because I can't go in and just solo this. I mean, like, I think maybe I could go in and solo it, but I don't want to try. Curiously enough, though, it was speed earlier, and now it's combat, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on. What happens if I create a lobby here? What is it going to say? Okay, we're just going to set a random team here. Oh, it said, what did it, that was the screen that I wanted, that middle screen. It says, oh, okay, so it's still blast. That's what I was confused about. Yeah, okay, it's not that it's speed types, it's that he is and they are combat, so you should use blast. Anywho, it's really hard. If you've heard from anyone or if you've seen the Dormammu GBR, it's really hard, but it's really fun. The animations and the skill checks are really cool. The only bug I believe that there has been repeatedly discovered for this is when you get teleported to, I don't want to spoil it too much, but one of the characters on the team gets teleported, and sometimes you don't get teleported back. But otherwise, it's a really, really fun piece of content. I highly recommend you play with other players, not by yourself, because although you can play by yourself, because it's just way too hard by yourself. Way too hard, even for someone with a stacked account like mine. And as you can see here, the rewards get better when you play with 3 participating players, and you can actually only get the very small chance, but you can only get a CTP drop by chance if all 3 players are in the party. So yeah, I highly recommend giving this a shot. It's really fun, and if you are finding that you can't beat it, maybe consider who you've added to your friends list, and maybe it's time to prune your friends list and find some stronger players who can help you, which is a hilarious realization that I think a lot of players are coming to now. I'm teasing, of course, but at the same time, I'm serious. You know, if you have a pretty stacked account, or if you're, even if your account is not as good as mine, but if you've been playing for long enough and you have 2 other friends who are similar, you should be able to tackle it together as a trio. And then for the world boss stuff, I'm pretty happy with some of the drops. I think Life Seed, we're gonna have to keep an eye on it. I got 222 today, which seems pretty good. On the other hand, I got 156 Carbonadium. They're not, I think the Carbonadium drops are guaranteed, but you get less. The Life Seed drops are not guaranteed, but you get more. But I did re-roll my World Boss of the Day. I spent about 20 million gold re-rolling to get Mephisto specifically, because I got Null a couple of times. And so I think it's really important for the time being that players farm World Boss Legend until we can figure out really how much more resources we're getting or we're losing by not playing World Boss Legend. But on the other hand, I will say that probably the one thing that I'm disappointed about thus far is it doesn't seem like the tier 3 materials were really buffed enough. Again, I'm going to need more testing on this before I can come to a final conclusion, but from what I've heard from a lot of players, it's only about 10 more of each of these per run, which only amounts to about 50 more per day. Now that does add up in the long run, but I was hoping to see a little bit more than that of an increase, especially for, stage 30 plus World Boss Legend is pretty difficult, pretty high end. I think the devs should consider bumping that even higher up to like maybe double that, so 20, because normally it was dropping about 20 to 25 of the tier 3 materials. Now it's dropping about 30 to 35. It should be closer to like 45 of each of these materials. And again, I'm saying that as someone who can farm all of the fragments for the story mode because I have all the characters. If you don't, you're going to be getting less than that. So yeah, I do think that's a little bit of an issue, but otherwise I really like the new segmented World Boss Legend strategy with the drops and like the difficulty tiers. I think that's excellent. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the dimension, well, for now, the dimension rifts. So they changed the dimension rifts and they basically added the card crafting cubes and the CTP reforging cubes. Now you sort of have to just trust the math here and trust the guidance that I'm going to give you. Again, we're going to continue to do testing in the next few days to really finalize and hammer out the odds and ends. But from the testing that I did, from the testing that Just Rainbow did, and some other, lovely people. It seems like it doesn't matter what dimension rift you open. It doesn't matter the difficult, like the rarity of the dimension rift that you open. And you can see here, like, the rarity. It doesn't matter. So don't worry about opening rarer dimension rifts. You can do that if you want to farm specific artifacts, sure. But if you're not in it for the artifacts, if you're just in it for the card crafting cubes, which you get right here, then what you want to do is just open normal rifts, which you can open one for free every day. It doesn't matter. And then farm the middle difficulty. So that would be difficulty 3. If you can't farm difficulty 3 fast enough, in less than 90 seconds, I would say, then move down to difficulty 2 and try to farm that. And your goal is to just farm as many times as possible in the 30 minutes. So you want to set up a team like, for example, Thena lead with dual support. You want the main damage dealer to have a self-buffing lead, so Scarlet Witch is another really good option. To be honest, Blade might be a good option because he has a good self-buffing lead. But anyways, you want something like this. Of course, you can also you could try Green Goblin. I'm not 100% sure, but of course, you can use the de facto best, who is Loki. With Loki, it's a little bit trickier because, generally speaking, you want to use Black Cat. But you just want to farm on a lower difficulty as fast as you can, because that will should give you the highest return on the card crafting cubes. Now, I'm going to throw some numbers out at you, but basically, you can farm 3 dimension rifts a day. Yours for 30 minutes, plus 2 friends who have opened it, either friends on your friends list or friends in your alliance. So as you can see there, that one was opened by GH Mystery Bob. He's a friend. He's not in my alliance. There's only 6 minutes left on this rift, so I don't want to join it now. You want to join the rift when it's as close to 30 minutes as possible. But basically, because you can farm 3 rifts, if you do this strategy of farming the lower difficulty, difficulty 3 or difficulty 2, and if you can bang out the stages in about 90 seconds or less, and I can do them in about 1 minute because I have a pretty stacked roster or a stacked team, you can farm close to 500 cubes per rift. Yeah. Which means you can farm, and I've already seen screenshots. Jess Rainbow did amazing work and sort of testing to figure this out. You can farm 1,500 card crafting cubes a day. So 500 times 3 rifts. Is it going to cost you more energy than GBR? Yes, of course. But you're able to get 3 times as much. On top of the fact that if you just want to farm 500, if you just want to keep the same amount of cubes as before, you can actually do it by spending less energy now. You're still going to need to play GBR for other reasons, like to farm the tier 4 materials, but in the past, you do 1 GBR run, which is 25 energy, and that would give you maybe 40 or 50 cubes. So the exchange, right, for 25 energy, you're getting about 40, 50 cubes. With this system now, if you do the difficulty 2 or the difficulty 3, you can farm almost double. You can farm close to 90 crafting cubes for the same amount of energy, for 25 energy. So it's fantastic. It's really, really good. And again, you have to take like a large sample size, and then you have to like divide it, and then you have to multiply it out again. So it may not seem that way initially. Sometimes your drops can fluctuate or whatever. Like there's a range of drops, for example. Stage 3 drops anywhere from 24 to 34 card crafting cubes per run. So the fact that it costs 8 energy, if you get 24 3 times, it's going to be 70 or 82, which is on the lower end for 24 energy. But then if you hit 34 3 times, you just farmed over 100 card crafting cubes for 24 energy. So it can be more than double what you would get from a GBR run. And yeah, it's 1 GBR run versus 3 of these, but the benefit here is you also get to autoplay it, which is why I said you should pick a team that has the damage dealer in the middle, and the damage dealer also being a self-buffing character. It doesn't have to be. I know Athena and Scarlet Witch are super expensive. We'll find free-to-play alternatives, but what I'm really excited about with this new tech in terms of the strategy and the gameplay is that it doesn't involve playing the very highest difficulty. And that was something that turned off a lot of people from Dimension Rifts, because the strategy before was you know, play the highest possible difficulty. Play difficulty 5 or difficulty 6. Difficulty 5 or difficulty 6 is not only very annoying to do, but very few characters can farm it at all. We're talking like Mephisto, Loki, Athena, just a very few characters, and sometimes you have to play manually. It's very annoying. But if we're lowering it down to difficulty 3 or difficulty 2 to get as many card crafting cubes as possible, now it opens up the possibilities for lots of different teams. So I'm really excited about that, and I think this is going to be an update that really does shape the game in a really good way for the foreseeable future. But I'm really curious to hear from all of you. How has your experience been with the new update, with the new characters, or sorry, new uniforms, with the Dimensioners, if you've tried them, the new World Boss, and then, of course, the GBR Dormammu. How are you getting on with that? I can't wait to make dedicated content for you guys on that. But in the meantime, maybe what you can do is check out the rank 1 for certain characters and congratulate those people that you find there. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.